Okay, so once you have your mise en place all together, first thing I'm going to do is I prefer wearing a plastic apron, protect my chef coat. I'm also going to go with gloves on because everything from here on is going to go from me to the customer. So I'm going to go ahead and have my hands washed, my stations washed, and now I'm going to have gloves. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about our icing. The icing we have here is a decorating icing. It's just for practice. There's no flavoring. It's just shortening, all right, and 10x sugar. Now, if you look at your icing is very, would you say that that's smooth? Okay, so the first thing I need to talk to you about is your icing. Most people, when you are using a stove, you adjust the heat, right? If too hot, too cold, you know, got to adjust it. Icing's the same way. Icing you must adjust, and how you adjust is the first thing you do is you have to agitate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix it. All right, and as we're mixing it, what's happening to my icing? It's getting smooth, right? Why is it getting smooth?
Because it's taking the air out of it.
I'm taking the air out of it, and I'm doing this. What's happening?
Warming up.
It's warming up. All right, so always remember, whenever I use icing, I don't use the icing right from the container and use it. I have to agitate it and make it smooth, okay? Right? See the difference? Okay, so that's the first thing. Also, depending upon what you're doing, sometimes you need a stiffer icing, sometimes you need a softer icing. If you're writing, soft icings work great. If you're trying to do roses, you're trying to do anything that has leaves or petals to it, you want an icing that's a little bit more on the stiff side. So we're going to talk a little bit about a pastry bag. For this demo, what we're going to do is we're going to use a disposable bag. So in order to get started, we're going to use a coupler and a ring. And the first tip I'm going to use is my my rosette tip or my star tip. And this is going to be in the range of anywhere from 16 all the way up to 22. All right, so that's the first tip we're going to use. So we're going to get rid of the other ones. Okay, this we're going to move off to the side. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim my bag. You want to make sure when you cut your bag, you undercut it, because if you cut it too big, you ruin the bag. Okay, when you use a pastry bag gets rolled over your hand, like so. All right, and we're going to take our coupler and we're going to embed it into our bag. And we're going to push this all the way down. The coupler goes on the inside of the bag, okay? I'm going to push this all the way down until it's snug. Then I'm going to take my star tip, put that over top, and I'm just going to make the ring snug. I'm not going to tighten it down really hard because this is plastic and it'll break, okay? So I'm going to take the bag, put it over a hand like this. All right, since this is sat for just a couple seconds, I'm just going to re-agitate this. Make sure that I have it smooth. I'm going to take my bag. Now, always roll it over your hand, all right? And you're going to fill it inside here. The goal is to keep all the icing on the inside and none on the outside, okay? We're going to take this, pull it down, and push everything forward, right? Push all of our icing. So our goal is we want a big gap here where everything we're putting inside, so we have nothing on the outside. We don't want any icing on the outside, because if we're trying to pipe this out, we won't have any pressure to grab this because it's going to be all slimy from icing. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the basic shell border. Okay, making a shell border is no more than holding it on a 45-degree angle. We're going to be squeezing and pulling out. So we're just going to be squeezing and pulling out. So as we squeeze, we pull out. Now we're going to connect them. And we're just going to slowly do one shell. We are not doing this. All right, if you do that, what happens is it'll fall off when the cake is bounced. The whole thing will roll off the edge of the cake, okay? It's happened, hasn't it, Kayleen? Okay, so also, what does this icing transfer into? What does it transfer into? Money. It's money, right? So why would we put a ton of icing on it? Because what we're giving the customer is what? Our profit. We're giving away our money. I can give a very nice shell order and keep these shells, or I can do this, and I'm giving away so much more icing. And which one looks prettier? Obviously, okay? So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna practice shells. So we can get, this is what we're going to do. We're gonna do shells, individual shells. They are not this. I see students do it all the time. Shells are teardrops. Okay, that's how they should look, all right? So you wanna practice shells. Next thing we're gonna do is we're going to do rosettes. Rosettes are a base that we can put an ornament on, that you learn how to do those chocolate ornaments. That's what it was put on. So rosette is a base, and then we come around and we cut off. So base, come around and cut off. Base, come around and cut off.
I always have trouble with that.
All right, and we're just gonna keep going around, keep our tip down in there. So squeeze a base, come around. When we get to 9 o'clock, we just drag our tip off. Base around, okay? Now, combining these two, we end up with another border. It's called a spiral. It's coming this way and then this way, right? So we combine these two together to create our spiral. Okay, so we practice those. Then we go into taking off our tip. So this tip can do those things. The next thing we're gonna do, now this icing is really soft, so it might be a little bit difficult to do flowers, but we're gonna give it a shot, okay? Next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to do some rosebuds, okay? Rosebuds are 3 steps. You do a technique like this, lay it on its side. So you go one like this, and then you reverse it and go the opposite direction. So this way, and then up and over. This way, and up and over. Left, then right, and up and over. Left, then right, then up and over. Some people just do this, but as you can see, if you go left, right, and over, these look more like a rose bud than that does. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, okay? Right? Now let's see if I have enough icing in here. Now, there are many people that do roses different, and Kayleen probably will do hers different. This is how I was taught to do it, but the key to doing a rose is you've got to have a rag, because your tip must be clean. If your tip is not clean, it's going to want to tear, all right? So I always have my rag nearby, and I'm constantly wiping it off. So to do my rose, and I need my lifter nearby, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and build a base, okay? Clean my tip off. We're gonna do a round motion, so we're gonna be turning and spinning at the same time. Okay, so I'm gonna close off my center, and then I'm gonna come up and over. Some people go this way, it really doesn't matter. Just come over, and you start with 3, okay? Come out with 3. All right, we're gonna come up and over. And then the next one we do is 5. From here, we take our, gather this up. There we go. All right, we're gonna come underneath. So this icing is really soft. I'll try to see if I can move it. All right, let's do one more for you. Build your base, come around. In my video that I posted for you, there's a much more detailed look to this. All right. So we have our center, and then our 3, and then we come around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, when you pick up with your nail, come up with a cradle, come underneath of it, squeeze, and pull out. Now, we do everything in white, All right, and I'm going to show you the last one. Okay, and I'm going to show you the leaf tips. So transfer out our tip again. People say, why don't we do it in color? Because if you can do it in white and it looks great, imagine what it's going to look like in color. Okay, let's take this tip off. All right, and I'm going to show you the, whoops, I'm going to show you the two different tips here. This is leaf. This isn't my favorite tip. I like the 352. But to do your, you can go this way. Do your leaves this way. Got an air bubble. Okay. Take a little bit more icing. And all you're going to do is just constantly be scraping and putting it back in the container. Now, for your test, I will create a board for you that you will practice. What you're going to do is you're going to do a row of shells, a row of rosettes, a spiral, a couple rosebuds, a couple roses, and then I'm going to show you. This is number 2. This is 1 test. This is number 2. So you'll take this skill set and you'll move it on to 2. All right. So you always burp your bag. All right. So I'm going to switch out this. I'm going to show you the 352 because I prefer the 352 for a leaf. The key though is, you notice the 352 has, it looks like a little bird's mouth. You want to make sure that you're holding the bag this way. Most students turn the bag, and if you try to do a leaf, it comes out like that. But if you turn the tip and go up and down, look what you get. Okay, so you can go in